What's up, everyone? I'm Coach D. We're getting closer and closer to 75,000 subscribers. I'd like to hit 75,000 before the end of this month. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do so. I really do appreciate you guys. So one of the things I talked about when the election happened and, days after that, things that were happening, one thing I said was that I never wanted to come on my channel and say, I told you so. Because I really do feel like we gain nothing from that. We gain nothing from being able to say, I told you so, now look at what happened. However, one thing that I have been saying, and it's something I want to admit right now that my daughter hates when I say this because she is definitely a more compassionate person than I am when it comes to these things. But one thing I have been saying is that people need to feel the full strength of Donald Trump's presidency in order for us to see exactly who he is and who Republicans are and be able to move on from this and realize that being more moderate, more liberal, more progressive is a way to take care of everyone and to have a country that sees more prosperity. I need people to feel that. I know people who work in the public sector, for instance, people who are teachers. And I think when they say that they voted for Donald Trump, I think, okay, he is saying that he's going to get rid of the Department of Education. The Department of Education oversees funding of schools. So I need people who are teachers that voted for Donald Trump to feel the full strength of what happens if he gets rid of the Department of Education. And I'm sorry, I'm a very empathetic person, but I am willing to lose a little myself so that people feel this, so we know exactly who these people are. I know people who work for the Parks Department. They may be maintenance people. They're in the public sector as well. I know people in those areas who voted for Donald Trump. I need them to feel what happens when funding doesn't come to jobs like theirs. Do I want to see anyone lose their job? Absolutely not. But maybe lose some of their overtime, maybe lose some of I don't know. I just feel like we're at a time now where people have voted against their own interests. They have voted against their own selves, and they need to feel this in order for us to know that this was not the right direction for us to go in. This is why when I post these videos and I say groups have fucked around and found out, or they fucked around and now they are finding out, I say this because I think it is so important for people to find out. I don't want to come off as someone who is not being empathetic or sympathetic. That's not it. But there's something to say about understanding that when we decided to do this, we have to find out exactly what we did by making this decision to elect, or for the people out there who say I didn't vote for him, maybe to not do enough to get people to go out and vote for Kamala Harris. I myself am willing to take the brunt of that as well. I realize maybe I didn't do enough as well. So this is on me too. So when I come across this article in this video about first responders, New York City firefighters who are upset that in this last spending bill, the bill that Donald Trump and Elon Musk basically, and Vivek Ramaswamy all decided to get behind because they wanted to see as many cuts as they could see. When I see this article about these New York City firefighters who are upset because funding from the 9/11 funding that funded, a lot of the issues that these firefighters have had because of it, cancers that are because of this, lung cancer, problems with breathing, all types of issues that will last forever since these people, went into the buildings on 9/11, the funding being taken out of that bill because many people who voted for Donald Trump believe that you should run the country like you run a business. And when you run a business, a lot of people who run businesses, they care about their bottom line. Their bottom line is that business being profitable. That means whatever cuts, whoever they need to hurt in order for that business and its CEOs and shareholders to be profitable, they're going to do that. So when you take Donald Trump and you take an Elon Musk and a Vivek Ramaswamy and you say, let's run the country like a business so that the country can be profitable, no matter who they're hurting, they make cuts. So that means if they're going to hurt firefighters, if they're going to hurt first responders in order for the country to be profitable, that is what they're going to do. And it will only be on the backs of people like first responders and public servants. It won't be on the backs of the shareholders or the owners or the people who are billionaires and millionaires, who are the ones that we want to put in charge of running the country because they know how to run a business. They don't get hurt by this. The people who get hurt by this are the first responders, are the public servants, the people who work in the public sector, because they see them as people who they can take from, right? And so I come across this article, and then I watch this video of these firefighters 2 days before Christmas, actually 1 day before Christmas, on Christmas Eve, asking for funding for what they were already promised. Funding for what they were already promised on Christmas Eve.
Calling on the administration that's coming in. We're calling on the senators and Congress people that have made their promises to honor what everyone has said, to never forget.
New York City Fire Department unions are calling for the restoration of funding to the James Zadroga 9/11 Health and Compensation Act after it was left out of Congress's funding on Friday. The act guarantees medical treatment for first responders, firefighters, and survivors who helped with the recovery efforts following the World Trade Center attack. It also provides financial compensation for those who suffered injuries, illnesses, or death as a result.
This should never happen. In the article I read, that a lot of people tell these first responders who are talking about what happened on 9/11 that is a New York problem. They're being told this is a New York problem, not an American problem. This is an American problem. When those firefighters went into those buildings to save all of those people in New York, but in those buildings, that was an American problem because those planes came from all over America. Not to mention, that was due to a failure of our national security, which is an American national security. This is an American problem, and they're being told it's a New York problem? This should never happen in the United States of America. They're dealing with issues due to the fact that they went into a building that was up in flames, and because of that, they had smoke inhalation and all type of toxins in their bodies that they're now dealing with. There have been over 300 firefighters who have died because of 9/11, and they're being told, oh well, figure it out. It's a New York problem. That funding was taken out of the bill that Congress just signed, that everyone voted for. That was taken out of that bill because they wanted to make this country profitable and didn't want to care about people. And again, we know that the country can be profitable. We know that if we tax the right people and we make sure we close the loopholes in those taxes and we didn't allow these billionaires to do whatever they want, we know the country can be profitable. But instead of being profitable by taxing people and taking care of marginalized communities or taking care of the middle class, the working class, and the poorer people, we instead are taking away from them. We are taking away from our first responders who did nothing but go in to save other people on 9/11. This is the find out that we talked about when people decided to fuck around and vote for Donald Trump and these Republicans to be in charge. We're now saying, let's allow 3 billionaires to be in charge of what type of cuts we make. Do you think that means they're going to cut away from people who are like them? Of course not. They're going to cut away from the people who are nothing like them, the people who punch a clock every single day, go to work, run into buildings to save other people. They're taking away from them so that they can keep money in their own pockets. This is the find out. When I've said, I don't want to say, I told you so, I do want to say, when you fuck around, you find out. And that is what we're doing right now. And the only way we right this wrong is by people first feeling this and then going to the polls and voting them out in 2026 and then going to the polls and never voting them in again in 2028. It's unfortunate that we're going to have to deal with this for 4 years. It is unfortunate that we're going to have to feel this pain for 4 years in order for people to realize we made a mistake and we need to reset this shit. It's unfortunate, but unfortunately, we're going to have to find out so that we don't ever fuck around again. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy in their heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.